What's up? Welcome back to another book review. Today we're going to be talking about Tomorrow's Lawyer by Richard Susskind. Sorry for that little fade in and out there, but had to get the book really close for you guys to see. This book was very important for me to read as I start my law school journey, and I want to make this video encouraging everyone who is thinking about going to law school, is already enrolled in law school, maybe just starting off on your legal career, to pick up this book. Richard Susskind is a very distinguished human. He has, have his Wikipedia page pulled up right behind me just so I don't miss out on anything. But he is a professor at the University of Oxford. He is a member of the French Royal Society. And I mean, he has some other roles as well, but the one that's most interesting to me, and for the purposes of this conversation, president of the Society for Computers and Law. And those of you who have been watching my channel, you know that that is kind of the intersection that I am working in or hoping to be in or have interest in. And I think I got this book at Half Price Books. No one recommended it to me. I just picked it up, and the title was captivating. And after reading it, and the subtitle is An Introduction to Your Future, I've learned that this short read is like the condensed version of, I think, some of his other writings. And it's it's 180 pages, and I took some notes here because there are a couple of things in here that I do want to talk about. Particularly, this message goes out to the creatives, the entrepreneurs. This is not for the people who want to go into law and want to follow the traditional path, or want to, as Richard Susskind says, sort of like get into the good old boy way of doing things, right? Because he says that the law career of your parents and your grandparents is going to differ drastically than the law career that you will have as a new lawyer in this disruptive technological world that we live in. And there are three main driving forces of change that he points out. I'm having to read from the list. The first of these is liberalization. The third of these is the more for less challenge, and the second of, well, I mixed the word up. And then there's also information technology. But so what do these mean? Liberalization means the breaking down of barriers to entry of law. So you could think of whether this be legal technological services, online legal services, just getting rid of what's the word I'm looking for? The walled garden of law and of accreditation. And so he theorizes or suspects that there will be different business models for law firms. The more for less challenges is exactly what it sounds like. He talks about technology is expecting, or consumers are now expecting, to get more bang for their buck. And then the third of these driving forces of change is information technology. And I would go ahead and add a fourth driving force of change, and maybe I'll talk about this a little bit in the video, which will be, I guess we can call it, if information technology is social media and Web 2.0, maybe we'll call it blockchain-enabled technology, or Web 3.0. This is the creation of digital scarcity. And so I think this is the fourth driving change. And I'm always like living in the future. I'm always trying to think of heady things and where things are going, and make predictions and try to be ahead of the curve, right? Whether that be, anyways, this book really helped me get an understanding of where we stand, at least at the time of writing, 2012, where the law and legal service industry stood in its totality, in its relation to disruptive technology. And Susskind, he points out that there's going to be two different strategies for success going forward for lawyers. And these two strategies are the efficiency strategy and the collaboration strategy. And the strategies, they're two driving things that they're going to do is they're going to create alternative fee arrangements for people, and they're also going to drive down the cost of legal services. And I want to read on page 16 an interesting quote. Lawyers charge for their time, for their input and not their output. And until not long ago, most clients have seemed comfortable with this approach. Hourly billing is an institutionalized disincentive to efficiency. It rewards lawyers who take longer to complete tasks than their more organized colleagues, and it penalizes legal advisors who operate swiftly and efficiently. The more for less challenge will drive down profitability. So there was some skipping there, but these are ideas that as I move into my career, I want to be trying to think about, and you should be too. And we want to think about what the next generation of law consumers are going to expect from lawyers. I think that one of the main reasons lawyers are disliked in society has to do with how they charge for their services. And there's never like there's never a website that discloses this sort of thing, right? It's always like you got to go in and they charge you for the hour. They provide some service, and then you get hit with a bill. And they never. It's not like, oh, if we do this, we'll charge this, right? There's nothing very clear about how they have their costs, and I think that is something that will change in time. And he talks about particular disruptive legal technologies. There's a lot of them, but I just wanted to talk about or mention a few of them that he says: automated documented assembly. Relentless connectivity, I can't even read my own handwriting, legal open sourcing, online dispute resolution, intelligent legal search. I can't read that. Essentially what he's getting at is that there are going to be new ways of doing law. Online dispute resolution, for example, is very akin to smart contracts, right? Essentially, you can now have computers do a lot of the groundwork that lawyers do, and computers are becoming better, especially as we move into the era of AI, at assembling documents, assembling and creating contracts. They are surpassing lawyers in their ability to do these things, and Richard talks about what he calls the commoditization of legal services. Essentially, what legal services used to be seen as like a very, it was a one-to-one specialist service providing, almost like a doctor, but Susskind posits that in the future, legal services will be treated more like an iPhone. It's just a utility, something that has become commoditized in the marketplace. And I thought it was very interesting. Oh, before I move on, I did want to talk about just a note here on the efficiency versus the collaboration strategies. These are the two strategies for success. Efficiency will be using technology and having IT first enabled law firms, right? Not this like we're a law firm and we pad IT on the back end. No, you have to be a technology first law firm. And I think those are going to be the future winners of this global marketplace for law. And collaboration, right? This is not just collaboration amongst attorneys from, say, different practices, different firms. Open law, which has, I think, been spearheaded by a gentleman named Gabriel Shapiro, is very much in the ethos of open source, which is the same ethos of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and blockchain. And it's also the collaboration between people who have a problem, right? So companies are going to partner together to hire legal service providers. And yep, we're going to move on here to, I thought this was just briefly want to mention what he talks about the future of law firms. No longer will firms aspire to build large teams of junior lawyers as the basis for their profitability. To survive in the memorable world of, well, To survive, in the memorable words of Theodore Levitt, lawyers will have to plot the obsolescence of what now produces their livelihood. And I think that that is going to be kind of a key, it's just going to be essential for trying to build the next generation of legal firms, is thinking about how do you make obsolete other lawyers. And I think that that'll be ultimately a good thing for society, a good thing for the people who consume law or consume the services of lawyers. And you have to understand that there are deeply entrenched interests, whether it be the global law firms, the big 20 law firms, or whether that be people who are in niche areas that, you know, they create these, like IP law, for example, just creating barriers to entry so that other people can't do certain things. Susskind believes that this type of behavior will be ultimately, it won't win out. He does, however, believe that medium-sized firms who demonstrate niche expertise will continue to thrive for at least the medium term. And I think this is, to me, this is just noteworthy because as I think about how I want to enter into the legal arena, I contemplate every day about starting my own firm and thinking about how do you niche down, whether that be real estate or whether that be cryptocurrency. I don't exactly know. I have so much to learn, but just something, food for thought for anyone out there. Really, like I said, this video is really geared towards people who are in similar positions to me, whether just slightly behind me or slightly ahead of me in terms of timeline. I'm really trying to get people who are like-minded, who want to think about what the future is going to be like. And this isn't, you know, a lot of people are just going to probably write this off as hosh posh and they're not going to want anything to do with this sort of thinking, but that's fine. I thought this was interesting and something worth noting. A couple of different legal enabled jobs that Susskind thinks will come about in the future. Again, reading here from my list. Legal knowledge engineers, legal technologists, legal project managers, legal risk managers, legal management consultants, online dispute resolution practitioners. These are a couple of different jobs that Richard believes will appear in the future in companies, in firms, and that lawyers will be uniquely positioned to acquire. What I'm trying to do here as well is give you guys enough information to want to go buy this book, because I really can't do his thinking justice and also his years of experience. He really knows what he's talking about. This is someone who gives speeches all around the world, talks to lawyers, has interactions with the partners of big firms, and he's just a wealth of information. Around page 89, he starts positing what the future of justice will look like in legal services. Particularly, he talks about access to justice, and he talks about how technology should be used, or we need to start thinking about finding ways to make the law more accessible and affordable and less time consuming and less, as he says, unjustifiably combative. And he talks about whether this be virtual courts, online legal services. He talks about judges in information technology, IT-enabled courtrooms, virtual courtrooms. And it's very interesting because we are moving into an augmented reality and virtual reality like paradigm within society. And whether this be things like Decentraland or Snapchat or Google Glasses, whatever the technology is, essentially people are able to appear in court without being in court. And it's not just using videos. We can actually have avatars that look like us. We can, soon it'll be, I believe that there will be virtual reality courts that provide legal services and provide access to justice for people from all over the world who are dealing and operating and doing business in cyberspace. And this probably sounds crazy to people, but it is what I think will be the case before I die. Yes, another very useful part of this book is when, towards the end, Susskind gives some questions that you might want to ask potential employees whenever you're thinking about working for a firm. And the questions are, as any lawyer would do, worded such that you're not going to sound combative, you're not going to sound like crazy like me, or you're not going to sound like rude or anything like that, but it's a way for you to start understanding how are they thinking about the people you're interviewing with, how are they thinking about the future of law, and how are they thinking about disruption. And I'm going to end with how he ends. I'm not going to read all of this, but I think that this was a good ending, and we'll end the video with this. I implore you, tomorrow's lawyer, to take up the mantle of benevolent custodians, to be honest with yourselves and with society about the areas of legal endeavors that genuinely must be preserved for lawyers in the interest of clients. But you should work in the law in the interest of society, not of lawyers, where, in all conscience, legal services can responsibly and reliably be offered by non-lawyers. Celebrate access to justice and draw upon your creative and entrepreneurial talents to find other ways that your legal knowledge and experience can bring unique value to your clients. As Alan Kay, computer scientist from Silicon Valley, makes a different but related point, he once said that, quote, "The best way to predict the future is to invent it." You will find most senior lawyers to be of little guidance in your quest. Your elders will tend to be cautious, protective, conservative, if not reactionary. They will resist change, and they will often want to hang on to their traditional ways of working, even if they are well past their sell-by date. In truth, you are on your own. I urge you to forge new paths for the law, our most important social institution. That, my friends, is exactly what I plan to do. Thank you for watching. Peace.